basically, this is what's going on when you're working in a Revit project. Start one from scratch here. A Revit model, let me maximize this, will allow you to navigate any view and see exactly what you're actually creating or what you're drawing in plan view. So you can be in a plan view like this here and create geometry. So if I was creating, say for instance, I was designing walls and breaking up this room into multiple rooms or putting a storage area back in here. You can take these designs and again, visualize. How do I visualize? I can create an instant 3D view. And once I create this view here, I can set my detail level and visualize a little bit better. Use it, make this into a live 3D section to kind of see exactly what's going on with this room. Noticing that my walls are cutting through the structure, or is that this, or are my walls up above? This one here is maybe going through too far. You know, little things like this that really help within the model, so that I'm just doing basic designs in a normal CAD view here, laying out. You know, I don't have to draw a single line, offset it a specific distance, and then clean it up with trim and extend. All of the geometry in Revit is intelligent. When I draw walls, it knows what I'm doing, right? When I was talking about strengthening your game, right? Building you guys up and building your knowledge up with this program, let me show you this. When I pick on this basic wall that I'm drawing, if I go into its structure, right? This is the kind of stuff that really kind of got me when I was learning in the industry. Was I didn't know, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have hit escape there, that's my fault. I didn't know that jip board was 3/4 inch or 5/8 inch. I didn't know the nominal dimension of masonry. I didn't know the proper dimension of a metal stud or wood stud, right? All these little things that you need to know when you're designing, so that you can, when you're doing dimensions and your dimensions plans all work out. You know, you need to work all that out prior to drawing it in a 2D CAD-based program. In Revit, it's all a part of the design or the tools. All the tools are here. Now, when you go in and you place in, say, components or blocks like your windows and your doors, right? All of that is automatically fixed for you. And then again, I can go in here, take a quick snapshot of all of this, and easily take a 3D view and see how this is being developed and see what's going on with these designs. I have graphical overrides, just like you do with layers in AutoCAD. I can manipulate this and I can make my surfaces, you know, see-through, so that I can, again, make my visualization a little bit easier on me as a designer to make sure that everything is working as intended, right? Now, also, when you're working with these models, there's this database. And what's the biggest difference between AutoCAD and Revit is that in AutoCAD, you have to build the database for every project. And typically a project goes where you draw it, you design it, erase it, draw it, erase it, draw it, erase it, keep going back and forth until you finish the project. In Revit, Revit stands for revise it instantly. So you basically revise the model every time you have an update or a change in the design or in your criteria or your program or expectations. So another thing about Revit is, with this database, is this bidirectional associativity. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is my stairs 130. I'm gonna go ahead and open up this view, and I'm gonna go to a sheet here. So once you create your views and you document what you need, and actually I can cut these two out. So just like in AutoCAD, maybe I want a section view and a plan view and kind of design in that way, right? I can make multiple views or display multiple views. But I want you to look up on the screen here once I do this. And this is kind of where the whole drafting, the mundane drafting tasks are kind of gone in the Revit environment compared to an AutoCAD environment. Notice my detail here, my call out over here, my enlarged plan of my stairs. This is how you document in Revit or create construction documents, which are basically a byproduct of the program. Oh, I have it on another view. Let's see here. Should have had that one done. Oh, enlarged plans. I bet you it's over here. There it is. Give me 1 second. I want you to see what this does here. Look at the detail number over here on the end. I'm going to cancel that one more time. I apologize for that little flub there. But when I just drag and drop from the project browser into the sheet, and it automatically knows what detail number it is and what sheet I'm on. The days of having to renumber sheets are not in set or not used. So this, say this sheet number is 303. When I update it in the sheet, look at the detail in the plan view, it automatically updates as well. Same thing with schedules and the I in building information modeling. Revit really has this database that you can access, that I can take all this information in my models and I can schedule it. If I had a room finish schedule, all my rooms, I have all my information here listed. I have my, say, windows and door schedules. I can get whatever information I need from them. And once I'm in my schedules here, I can also export this out. So for project managers, engineers, or anybody that needs this information in a model, I can create a quick schedule and export this out to a TXT file, and it will create a delimited text file that I can import into Excel. Now, the whole being able to go out to Excel and back in is really not possible natively. You'd have to have third-party apps or use a program called Dynamo. But these links are all here. Everything that you typically use in a CAD-based workflow, because you use OLEs or you copy-paste tables into AutoCAD. It's a little bit different in Revit. You don't just use tables that way in a floor plan. You create them in the sheet and you create what we call schedules, which are views. All right, so you know, again, working through my experience with this, I start realizing all of these little things start to kind of add up in the project. You know, if I was trying to create, say, for instance, one of the biggest things that I kind of fumbled when I first started working with Revit was what we call sketch mode. If you look up on my screen here, let me do this. Let me just start one that has sketch mode. I'll do a floor. I accidentally clicked on the floor command and I say, for instance, I was going to draw a floor here in this cafeteria, and I got into this mode, right? We don't have this in AutoCAD, right? This is a kind of the ribbon is contextual. It switches to a different color, and then I have this green check and red X. So if I'm hitting escape like crazy, I'm hitting modify, I'm following every procedure I know, and I cannot get back out of this. If I go back to the ribbon up here at the top on my toolbox, notice how everything is still grayed out. I cannot get out of this mode for the life of me, right? So my first day I was in panic. I was just sweating, you know, like, oh my God, you know, sweat beads coming down. And I should have just asked my senior tech at the time what to do here. And, you know, I did about an hour later, because what I ended up doing was using Task Manager to get out of Revit and start back all over where I was. So there's these little experiences that you might experience in Revit can be frustrating to people that don't really have you know, anybody to rely on, or anybody coming from like a CAD-based program, right? So especially coming from AutoCAD 20 years, like myself, you know, there's a lot of little things in here that you know, it has the feature function or a button for that we had to do manually in our everyday life. Look at this here. And this was something that was my enemy in architecture, was the sections or building sections, right? Because I draw it up and then the architect would say, you know what, Gabe, it was the actual opposite side. So you'd have to go back and redraw it all over again, right? So let me show you what I would do here. Now you don't have to redraw it, because you can use the functionality of the software, because it's a model, to just flip it to the opposite side, whichever side of the section that I want to see, right? There's you can do all types of renderings and presentation file or images natively in the program that are just, you know, just fine. They're not photorealistic where, you know, you can see like the grass wavy, but you can make as you know, as high resolution as needed. There are also capabilities in here for, say, for navigation and for, you know, some type of video or presentation. It's what we call a walkthrough. and you can create these in Revit as well to kind of get a better look at your models, you know, in their development, you know, digitally prior to it ever being built. You can kind of take a look, you know, at how all this is going to work, you know, all here on the computer. Let me stop this.